Okay, we are recording, I think. Is this working? Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you're here again and putting up with my shenanigans. I mean, I really think it's a lot of shenanigans. Glad you're here on my channel where I talk about all things writerly and writerly adjacent and a lot of fantasy in there as well. I'll be giving advice and tips and tricks, things that I have learned along the way in my journey towards publishing. Also some games because I really love gaming and it helps me with creativity, all sorts of fun stuff. I'm glad you're here. Now, before we get into today's content, I would love if you liked, subscribed, ring the bell, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, all that good stuff. It goes a long way in making me feel better about myself. Writing is hard. So today I want to go over 8 things. That's eight things. 8 things I wish I knew before querying agents. I know a lot of you are out there in the trenches right now. It's a sucky place to be. It really is a sucky place to be. And agents know this too. And I know that they're very sympathetic. Most of them are very sympathetic of the plight of writers trying to get representation for their books. So these are 8 things that I learned along the way. Now, I was represented by an agent at one point, and a few years ago, I ended that relationship for various reasons. It did not feel right for me. I wasn't liking the relationship. So, and that's common. That is quite common, not necessarily for the reasons that I left my agent, but it is common for authors to bounce agents, depending on where they are in their journey, that sort of thing. There's multiple reasons. So, if you are in a position where you are agented, but you're not entirely sure if this is the agent for you, it's okay. There are a lot of other agents out there who probably will scoop up your work. So before I get ahead of myself, because I'm always getting ahead of myself, I'm going to go into the 8 things I wish I learned, I wish I knew before querying agents. Number 1, do your research. I wish I had done more research into the agents who I was querying. I basically was going on manuscript wish list. I was, following hashtag manuscript MSWL. Don't ask me about acronyms. On Twitter, I was trying to follow some agents, but I really wasn't doing a lot of research on who these agents were. I really felt like I had to boil the ocean, basically, meaning that I had to query as many agents as possible because it's like the spaghetti method. The more you throw against the wall, eventually something's going to stick. And that's actually not good advice at all. What ended up happening was I was querying agents who I knew in the back of my mind we would probably wouldn't be a good fit, or maybe it was like they were representing fantasy or whatever the case may be, but they didn't want the fantasy type of fantasy I was writing. Just because they represent one genre doesn't necessarily mean that the flavor, the feel, the mood of your work will be best suited for them. I also didn't do a lot of research into who these agents were or their agency. So things you want to look for are what are some of the other authors? What kind of deals have they made with what kind of publishers? Are there any big fives on their list? Have they done any really, really good deals? And if they're really new agents, who are their mentors? New agents are great because they're so eager and they want to fill their client list. But you also want to make sure that they have really great mentors. And you also want to get a sense of who these people are on a more personal level. It is a collaborative effort between the two of you going forward in this business partnership. And you have to be able to listen to each other because there's going to be some things you might not agree on, but you have to have the respect for each other to be able to come to a consensus moving forward, because at the end of the day, you're both out to make money on your work. So it's a communal effort. And the second thing, in no particular order, I wish I knew before querying agents, and I know you're going to be like, what are you talking about? Of course you should do this. Utilize your beta readers. If you don't have beta readers, go get yourself some. They might be kind of hard to find, but if you are in the writing world, you probably already know a few writers. Now, sometimes it can be hard to find beta readers. For me, I was already entrenched into the writing world. Why I didn't go with beta readers the first time, I think I was just really, really shy and I was afraid of what they might say, which, I mean, to be honest, what they might say was probably what I needed to hear. But anyways, now if you don't have any beta reader, you might want to take some creative writing workshops, take some courses, just start entrenching yourself into the writing world, and eventually you will find people who are in a similar situation as you. And beta readers don't necessarily need to be writing in the same genre as you. They just need to understand the craft of writing. They need to understand what works in a book and what doesn't, and be able to articulate that for you. They can't just say, well, I didn't really like this part and I don't know why, because that's not helpful. That's not critique. That's just saying they don't like something. And vice versa. They could say, I really like this part of the book and I don't know why. It's not, I mean, it's more helpful than I don't like it, but what was it about it that you really liked, and how can you repeat that? You need to be able to have beta readers who can identify certain elements in the book and know how to articulate specifically why it works or why it doesn't. Now, they're not out there to give you solutions. They can. You brainstorm together, which is really, really great. And that's the good thing about having critique partners, is you'll be able to help each other. Sounding board, that sort of thing, because sometimes we need to talk through our thoughts. And one of the reasons I think I didn't use beta readers is because I didn't really cultivate a critique group at all. I was way too shy. I know it's like banana. I felt way too shy and incapable. It's not that I was like, no, I don't need it because I have no problems. It was that because I am afraid of what people are going to say, and they're going to think that I am the world's worst writer and they're all going to laugh at me, which is, I mean, not the case. But the thing is you don't want to have a book out there and then on Goodreads people are saying that. Oh, your beta readers can save you from the gallows of, social judgment and Goodreads judgment. Yeah. So your beta readers can really help you, because it can help you hone your craft, really keep your prose tight, because that's another thing beta readers can help you with. So you can polish up your manuscript to the best point possible before you start querying, because once you're querying, if you get a no from that agent, even if you polish that book up again, they'll still be like, no, you can't query me again. They're not going to want to have a second look at it. Sometimes they do. They will say, if you did some revisions, here's what I want to see, and then resubmit. It's called a revise and resubmit. That's a really good sign, but that means that you should be utilizing your beta readers. Definitely. And you want to do what they say. You want to make sure that you've really revised it to the best place it can possibly be where you can take it, because that agent, they want to see it again. They're just not sure it's at the place yet. And number 3, the third thing I wish I knew, I feel like I kind of already knew this, but I was in denial, but I wish I knew before querying, is don't be shy. Put yourself out there. It's really, really hard. You have to put yourself out there, and I know how hard that is. I mean, as writers, a lot of us, we're turtles. Like, we just like sink into our shells and we write our stuff and we pour our blood, sweat, and tears into our work, and then we're like, no. It's tough, but you can't be that shy. You have to engage on social media. You have to send the emails. You have to be able to ask questions. That's really important. And attend webinars and seminars. And if you can, in-person conferences are really, really great too. Or in-person workshops are really great too, because they'll remember your face. Don't be shy. And on the same note, don't be shy of rejection. It's going to happen a lot. And the fourth thing I wish I knew before querying agents was to follow the rules. We've all made this mistake. You think that, oh, okay, they're, looking for in a query letter like 300 words. It's okay if I just slide in another couple hundred words because, my plot is so complex and there's so much I need them to know. No, don't do that. No matter how good the hook of your book is, if the query letter is too long, or if it's messy, if you've got some things where they shouldn't be, they're probably not going to look at it. They're so busy. Agents are so busy. Some of them get hundreds and hundreds of submissions of queries a month. Absolutely bananas. And some of the bigger agents actually have assistants to be able to cull through those first line of rejections. That's your form rejection. Nope. And on the same note, following the rules means if they're looking for your sample pages, make sure they are the first pages. Make sure you are within the page requirement. So if they're saying up to your first 5 pages, it doesn't matter if, the really juicy stuff is at like the 7th page. Do not include the 7th page. They're not looking for narrative arc. What they're looking for are the opening pages really strong, because readers will purchase the book if the opening pages are strong, right? They're not going to read until the third or fourth chapter to see if your book is purchase worthy, because they're in like Barnes and Noble or Waterstones or Indigo and there's people around them. They're not going to stand there reading. They're going to be like, they're going to look at the cover. They're going to look at the blurb on the back. Right? And then they're probably going to read the first couple of lines and then that's it. Unless it's on a hashtag book talk trending table and they'll be like, yes. Particularly if it says spicy book talk. Maybe I'm projecting. Follow the rules. Okay. And on that note, the fifth thing I wish I knew before querying agents was to get your first pages critiqued. You're not going to get past the front door if your first pages are not in pristine shape. Because after that, if the agent really likes your first pages, they really like the sound of your query letter, they're going to ask for a full manuscript. So you need to be able to get past that first goalpost. And if you don't have the most beautiful first pages, say like first 5 to 20 pages, then you need to go to the drawing board. You need to, your beta readers, you can even hire an editor, somebody to help you out with polishing up those pages. The rest of your manuscript does not necessarily have to be perfect. You have to get it to a place where you can't do anything more with it without help from an agent. But those first pages have to be nailed. Sixth thing I wish I knew before querying agents is on the same line as get your query letter critiqued as well. Send it to your writer friends. Send it to their editors, freelance editors who can help you with this as well for like, a flat fee. They'll edit your query letter for you, knowing what the industry standards are and knowing what agents are looking for. They'll be able to streamline your query letter into like 300, 350 words. And that is the maximum it can be. Now, if you don't have buddies to help you out with your query letter, a great resource is actually a podcast called The Shit No One Tells You About Writing. It's with Bianca Murray, Cece Lira, and Carly Waters. Now, Cece and Carly are both at PS Literary Agency. They are phenomenal agents. And in this podcast, they actually do query letter and first pages critique. They review the query letter, they review the first 5 pages, and then they tell the audience, okay, here's what I loved, here's what I didn't love, here's how it can be fixed. And it is absolutely amazing. And I've learned a lot about that. Do everything you can to make sure your query letter is perfect. The seventh thing I wish I knew before querying agents, this actually kind of comes after, kind of like within the, getting an offer of representation to starting to work with your agent, is I wish I knew how collaborative the relationship should be. Now, my experience with an agent was not like that. And right away, when I was being courted, I guess, I felt a lot of pressure sort of in like the tone of, well, you better take it because I'm busy and I don't want to waste my time. So don't be looking anywhere else. Which that's not what it should be like. You should be like, okay, I will get back to you within, a defined time frame, maybe 7 days. And then you should also be going to the other agents who you really, really want representation from, saying, I have an offer of representation. I'm just following up to see how you feel about this. How do you feel about my query? And if the agent who is offering you representation has a problem with that, then maybe that's not the agent for you. And I wish I knew that right from the get-go. I wish I knew that. Now, going into the agent-author relationship, I wish I had known that I have a voice, that I can disagree, that I can present what I feel like might be a good path for my career and not feel like I'm getting shot down by that. You should get a sense of support, of respect, of collaboration. Now, this also goes back to do your research, right? You can even contact, if you're getting an offer of representation, or if an agent has asked for a full manuscript with a 30-day turnaround, see if you can actually contact some of their other clients and say, hey, what is your relationship like? And the other authors, they may not say anything, but it doesn't hurt. It shows that you have a lot of care and consideration about your career as an author and about your choice in agent. And if you decide on that agent to accept their offer of representation, that makes it even more of a win, because you know that you will be a dream team together, and obviously you will be a best-selling author like Rebecca Yarros. I still am like, I can't stop talking about Fourth Wing. Oh my God. I read it twice in 1 month. I don't think I've ever done that before. Is it about that novel? I've been trying to think about that. Dreams. And the eighth, and not necessarily last thing, but last thing today, I wish I knew before querying agents is that you don't actually need to have an agent. It is not the be all and end all of your career. When I first got my agent, I was given an offer of representation for one novel, but I had others in the background. Plus, I was working on a book proposal for a nonfiction book, and I told the agent about those, but it was more of the novel that what they were going to represent. That's what sold them on me. Does that make sense? Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Now, it didn't work out with that one novel. It was part of the reason why I left. But I also had this nonfiction book, and I knew that I didn't want them representing that nonfiction book. And then when I canceled our contract together, I felt like, okay, what am I supposed to do? I can never sell this book now. And that is not true. There are so many publishers now who take what's called an unsolicited submission. They'll have a submissions window, and unsolicited submissions means it's submissions that aren't actually asked for. Now, say like the acquisitions editor isn't going to like an agent or any of their contacts saying, what do you have, or whatever the case may be, but it's direct submissions from the authors. Now, I did a little research. Publishers for Seal Polk, who wrote what is the novel that they wrote? They've written a lot. The Midnight Bargain. The publisher for The Midnight Bargain takes unsolicited submissions. Seal Polk, okay. I do know that the first publisher of the Stone Earth Chronicles, Stone Earth trilogy for N.K. Jemisin also takes unsolicited submissions. The last time I checked. I could be wrong now, but the last time I checked. Rebecca Yaros's publisher, I'm just going to leave this here for you. Rebecca Yaros's publisher takes unsolicited submissions, meaning you don't have to have an agent, okay? You don't have to. Don't feel like this is, if you don't get an agent, if you don't get an offer of representation, that is actually going to stop you from being a published author, because that's not true. My publisher, I sold my book on proposal. I submitted it to myself to an editor. I knew who she was. I, been basically like lurking her on Twitter. Like, she's just so phenomenal. I knew I wanted to work with her, so I submitted directly to her, and I CC'd their submissions email. And within a month it was sold. I sold it myself. Now, an agent is really great. If you want to get into one of the bigger publishing houses, you definitely need an agent, like one of the big fives, like Macmillan, Simon & Schuster. However, I have noticed that PRH, Penguin Random House, are now starting to take a window of time of unsolicited submissions, meaning you don't need an agent to submit to them. I'm just saying, okay? Now, keep in mind, an agent, they know legal contracts. Okay, agents are great for knowing what to negotiate, how to negotiate it, how to position your book or novel in the marketplace. They'll know rights of reversion. They'll know how to negotiate things like different publishing permissions, like, are we going to do an audiobook? Are we going to, is this worldwide rights? They're going to be, TV film rights? They'll know how to negotiate all of those moving parts in a contract. So, and they'll also be able to negotiate for probably a better book advance for you. And that's not something that a lot of new authors feel comfortable with. I am with the Writers Union of Canada, and I know that there are often writers unions who can actually help you with these legal aspects of the publishing world, but not everybody is within a union. So it's a bit of a balance. You don't need an agent to get published with a traditional publishing house. You don't need an agent. Will you want an agent later on down the line? It's possible. If your first book does well, you have follow-up books, you want a bigger advance, you want better royalties, you want yada, 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 and you want somebody to be able to help you out with this legal contract, definitely go on submission. Plus the fact that you have a traditionally published book already under your belt, the agents are probably going to go, okay, so I know this person can produce. This is good. Let's see what we can do here together. But at the end of the day, you don't need an agent. Okay, there are so many ways to publication, and you don't actually have to be traditionally published as well. You can be indie published, meaning, self-publishing. And one of my friends Ali Temple, she's doing really, really well. So don't think that goalpost is the be all and end all. Okay, there are a lot of ways around it. You have to go what feels right for you. Now, will I get an agent in the future? It's quite possible. Once I get one of my many manuscripts polished up, I have like so many. I definitely think that I might want to try querying again, but also I don't know if I have the heart to. But I might go a little bit more indirect and just not necessarily indirect. I'm going to do my research. I have already started compiling a very short list of agents who I might go knocking on their door just because I've seen them around social media and I like what they say. I like what they're offering. They're not, holding all the tricks of the trade close to them. They're dispensing really great advice. I know other authors they represent, and it's like, yeah, those are my people. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I feel really shy. I feel really tender about it. I think that's a bonus thing, actually. That's the bonus number 9 of things I wish I knew before querying, is that it's okay to feel tender. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to cry because you might a lot. It's so hard. Querying is so hard. Getting out there, publishing is so hard. You need your people around you. You need to constantly remind yourself that it's not about you, who you are as a person, who you are as a writer. It might mean that you need to go back to the drawing board, do some polishing, do some revisions, learn, constantly be learning your craft and how to write better. Let's just say it like it is. How to write better, meaning, how do you write a novel? How do you write, a fully formed plot arc? How do how about your prose? How about, anyways, your character development, all that stuff. Clearly, I'm not an orator, but I think you get what I'm saying. Going back to the drawing board is par for the course. Getting rejection is par for the course. Before I got my offer of representation from the agent I am no longer with, I had 74 rejections, one of which was brutal. I wish I had to save the email because I deleted it because I was so pissed off. The guy actually broke down for me with pluses and equal signs how many words he would have to commit to if he said yes to representing a trilogy, and then got the title of my book completely wrong, and then accused me of querying him twice when I didn't. Like, I only queried him once and he got my book wrong. It was like totally mansplained me. Just, I was so angry, but now I just laugh and I wish I had that email because it's such See, this is the thing, is that you got to do your research. I never want to work with a person like that in my life. Not all agents are like that. I do think that that is a vast minority. I wonder if he's even... Anyways, we all have stories. I hope you get to the point in your writing career where you will have a hilarious rejection story and you can laugh about it because you're in a place where you are satisfied with your writing and your publishing career, wherever that takes you, whatever paths you may choose to get from point A to point B or point Z or whatever the case may be. And I hope this is kind of help. There's a lot of sort of nebulous, how does it feel? Let's talk about our emotions part of this process. But to be honest, it is. It is a lot about that. But also it's how do you not feel too emotional about this process? Because it can be pretty brutal. We're all here together. Lean on your writer friends, really. Ask questions. Please ask questions. Other authors, ask them questions. How did they get to where they are now? What was difficult for them? Do they have any advice? Follow them on, Instagram or Threads or whatever the case may be, TikTok too. Engage with their content. That also really helps writers too. When you start engaging with their content, that helps to get them out there even more, and then they can publish even more. And you know what happens when a publisher like Red Tower Books has a bestseller like Fourth Wing? Do you know what ends up happening? They have a massive influx of cash. And you know who they end up investing that in? That's right, debut authors like you. So pay it forward because it will come back to you. Keep learning. Stay strong. Stay strong. You can do this. Again, comment. I want to hear about your journey. Let us know. You can send me an email. I would love to hear from you. And subscribe, ring the bell. I think that's it for today. I also learned that apparently green is my favorite color. I didn't realize that before. I was going through my wardrobe. I'm like, what am I going to wear today? It was like all green tops. So should I paint this white? So that's another question. Should I paint this white? Let me know what you think. Anyways, I'll see you next time.